There's a really important idea that I kind of stumbled across just after working for a little bit, but it's also something that I've heard a lot of people talk about, and I think it's actually really, really important. So I kind of want to touch base on it, and yeah, let's just get straight into it. Basically, this idea is loving the work that you do. So when people say, love the kind of work that you do, like make sure that you're passionate about it, there is some kind of truth in that. And I'm not saying that you should chase your passion because passions are typically fleeting, but you should chase things that bring you excitement and like light a flame in you. And you want it to be like one of those everlasting kind of flames. You want it to be a flame where it's just like it's inextinguishable. And here's why. It's because and this is a really good quote from Naval, but it's like you want to find work that looks like fun. You want to be working on things that feel like fun to you but look like work to others. And here's why. You want to be the kind of person eventually where you can work on this thing for as long as is necessary, right? So it might be 12 hours a day, might be 13, 14, 15. Who knows, you know? It's like you want to be the kind of person that can sustain long, arduous hours of work because you love it, right? It's like you're fun. It's like you need someone to like pull you away and like be like, no, like you work too much or you got to take a vacation or you know you're driving yourself to the ground, those kind of things. You want to get to that place, but it's like you're not necessarily burnt out. You're actually having a lot of fun. It's like you want to come to that place where it's like you love the work so much and you just can't get enough of it. You can't get enough of working. And I think that that idea is actually very foreign to a lot of people. They typically immediately associate the word work with negative. They're just, they kind of envision someone like in a cubicle who hates their existence, but it's like that's not the kind of work that I'm talking about. It's like that kind of work is arduous and is actually very not enjoyable. But it's like when you decide that your life is in your control and that you only get one shot at this thing called life, and you decide to work on something that you decide is worth pursuing, then at that point, it's like, what am I willing to suffer for? And if you have chosen a business that you think you are well aligned for and that your skill sets are best suited for, and that you don't actually like hate the mundane and hate the day to day, then you can work on it for as long as you want because it's very fun. It's very fulfilling. You go to sleep at the end of the day and you're just like, I had a really good work day. Like I got a lot done. I got my top three priorities out of the way with, and it doesn't necessarily feel like work to you. And I think that this idea is so important because many times in entrepreneurship, like you can stumble across an idea, but you end up realizing that you wouldn't buy the product in the first place. Or it's like neither would the second guy. And now you're kind of like going back and forth between like, I don't really care about this. And then you just go to the next idea. But it's like, you really have to know yourself well enough. But it's like, to the same extent, no one really knows themselves, right? It's like people think that they know themselves, but no one really like fully just like all the way knows themselves. And that can be a pretty difficult thing, but at the same time, you have to experiment with a lot of things. And sometimes I think it is scary to realize that you have to experiment to figure out what you want out of life. As obvious as it sounds, but it's like to an extent, it does get a little bit terrifying because you're just like, oh, I don't want to fail at this one thing, or I don't want to fail at this. But it's like, it's not failure if it's getting you where you want to go. It's just, a step in the road. It's a little bump. Um, but really interesting. So I took this realization away from like a video of this really young female entrepreneur. She was like the first youngest billionaire. Um, really, really inspirational. But one of the things there that she says is like, you want to be optimizing for learning at all costs, right? So she was kind of known as a job hump, like as someone that would job hop all the time. And yeah, just hopping from one job to another. And she was kind of like, when I realized that I couldn't continue learning at that job, I would just go to another one. And she's like, and it wasn't a waste of opportunity or time because it wasn't something that was going to give me life-changing money. So if it wasn't life-changing money, then the next best thing was probably going to be just to optimize for the education so that, I can stumble upon the life-changing money. But that idea was so interesting. It's like, as long as it's not life-changing money, then, you know, it really doesn't matter what opportunities you say no to. And it's like, you can always go and get another job, but to begin your own business and to really go like all the way deep in it and just learn so much about yourself and what you love in this life and like what you actually want your day to day to look like, that's something that not everyone can say that they have the ability to do. And it's like when you're young, you should strive to like really take full advantage of that. And there's a lot of analysis paralysis for me that has come from that, which is like having the ultimate freedom of just like you can do whatever you want today. Choose. It's not easy, but it's worthwhile, right? It's worthwhile to schedule your days so that you have the best day possible every single day, right? You want your Tuesday to look like your birthday. I think I heard that from Alex Ramosi, and I think he heard it from someone else, but it was great. And it's like you want your normal Tuesday to look like your birthday, right? You want to keep the same things that make an exceptional day for you. So for me, like an exceptional day is kind of like I'm eating clean, I'm going to the gym, and I'm like working on something that I enjoy that gets me closer to my goal. And it's like, as long as I do that, I feel like I can sleep well and be like, okay, I had a pretty good day, you know? It's like, I went to the gym, I ate pretty clean, and I got something productive done. I'm just like, cool, let's keep it going. And that's kind of how you build a little bit of momentum in your life. But it's like, you have to understand the second order consequences of things. So this is another really interesting concept, but this one comes from Sam Ovens. Second order consequences are basically the hidden costs or the things that you don't see in the initial, um, first decision. So think about like getting a TV, right? If you get a TV and you use the TV, right? So let's say that you buy the TV. That's the first order consequence. You buy the TV, cool. Now you have a TV, right? Great. And then the second order consequence, which is tends to be a little bit negative, it's like you will spend a lot of your time using the TV now. And it's like that might not be the best thing for your productivity. That might not be the best things for your goals. But now you feel indebted to yourself because it's like you bought this TV. You have to get your use out of it. Otherwise, this is kind of a waste of money. But that's a really negative second order consequence. So you have to understand like the things that you use to structure your day will create the second order consequences whether you know it or not, and it's like eventually you will have to pay the bill. So it's like if you decide to procrastinate all day and instead of just doing the things that need doing, the things that will actually become the most revenue generating opportunities, and if you don't do those, the bill will come due soon. It just won't present itself now, right? Like you'll just be billing yourself until the bill gets too large that the debt collectors come. And at that point, you'll realize it's like, oh my God, like what did I get myself into? Because you realize that you just kind of bullshitted around. Like you didn't do the things that were actually like needle moving. And it's no one's fault but your own. And I think it's really easy to say like, "Oh, I didn't know any better." I had no idea, but it's like this was your like this was your choice. This was your path. Like you should have known. You should have done the research. You should have read the books. You should have like understood what you were getting yourself into. And it's like business in a lot of ways is like the best career path for self-development because it forces you to confront all your inefficiencies and yeah, it forces you to just like confront them and be like, okay, I got to work on this. Like, I am not great at keeping my word, or I am not great at waking up early, or I'm not great at talking to people over the phone. But it's like the only way is through. Like, I can't continue to live the rest of my life like in this, stage where I'm not accomplishing what I want. It's too painful. And then when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, that's when like, you know, worlds collide and really cool things start to happen. Um, and yeah, I mean, pretty interesting stuff, but like second order consequences are like once you kind of understand it, when you start seeing the world that way, it's like that's how you kind of win at life, right? That's how you start winning at life because you start understanding the things that just like really make an actual impact. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Like the TV example is a great one, but it's like if you're eating unhealthy, right? It's like if you're eating the donut today, like the first order consequence is that you had the donut, which is great, right? Like now you're happy and you have the donut and it tastes great. And then the second order consequence of like, yeah, but now you're probably gonna get a little bit fatter. And that's probably gonna cause sugar cravings, and those sugar cravings would cause to you to like keep eating more unhealthy stuff, and it's very negative. But it's like as soon as you can start thinking in second order consequences before you actually take like the first order action, then yeah, it helps you make rational decisions. And that's probably the most important thing that you can do in life is your ability to rationally see the world for what it is. And I think that this is the importance of reading and listening to podcasts and trying to educate yourself. You need to have the clearest lens possible in which you can see the world. And the reason why I say that is because you're forced to have all these different decisions that you have to make in life, right? It's like you have to decide on what kind of person you want to be and how that person lives and what they do for a living and how they look. And it's like, how do they talk? How do they treat each other? Um, and it's all these things. And it's like, you have to have the clearest lens that you can of seeing the world for what it actually is so that you can decide if these things are important to you or not, right? It's like the three biggest decisions in life, and I've heard this a lot, but Naval talks about it as well, which is like what you do, where you do it, and with whom you do it with. So, what you do for work, where you work or where you live, and your partner, right? Or just like who you marry. Those are the three biggest decisions in life. And if you don't have a clear lens in which to see the world, it can be very easy to become distorted as to which path is the best for you, right? But it's like part of having a clear lens that you can see like the world through is like you kind of understand your deficiencies and your strengths and you play to your strengths at all costs, right? Like if you know that you're good at sales, if you know that you're good at pattern recognition, if you know that you're good at like synthesizing um just information and breaking it down really well for people, then you play to your strengths at all costs because this is what will lead to the most outsized returns for you in the future. And again, this all comes back to like having a really clear lens. I mean, it's very difficult to take like a stunning photo with like a smudge lens, right? And I think a lot of people try and do that with their life. It's like they want the really great outcome, but it's like they're seeing everything through a very smudged lens, and that results in them not seeing themselves as the kind of person that can achieve whatever they want to achieve. And instead of just clearing the lens, what they do is they just try and keep taking photos and just hoping that, you know, it just gets clear, that the photo gets clear. But it's like, it doesn't work that way. You have to clean the lens. And then cleaning the lens is like educating yourself and understanding what you do want in this life and what you don't want in this life. It's like, as soon as you can do that, as soon as you can clear your lens and stop taking photos, um, with a smudged lens, it's like the sooner that you can actually achieve everything that you wanted out of life. A lot of people go through like a really weird transition stage when they achieved a lot of things that they want in life and they get to like this stage of questioning, right? And it's like you start asking the really big questions, which is like, what is the purpose of life? And that's a big question. But it's like a lot of people come to the realization and it sometimes it takes them like a little while. But the purpose of life is to enjoy it, right? The purpose of life is to enjoy life. And you only do that by like setting out ambitious things for yourself. You want to have goals, you want to have direction. And it's like as soon as you have a clear lens so you can kind of understand it's like, okay, I can achieve this if I do X, Y, and Z, then life just becomes much more enjoyable. And this is where you can start working like the 12-hour days because it's like you have a clear enough lens to know what's possible and what's not possible, and you just keep grinding. And it's a forever grind, but it's like one of those things that's like, what else are you going to do in life but achieve everything that you ever wanted? So it's a worthwhile goal. It's not easy, but it's worthwhile. And I don't think there's anything better in life than to chase your vision and your dream and to create the life that you've always dreamt of. Because the alternative is way worse. The alternative is like you play the victim card your entire life and you don't get anything you want out of life. You don't get the body, you don't get the mind, you don't get the money, you don't have anything. And then what is there to show for it? There's very little to show for it. And the only person that can, like, you know, could have done something was you. And then you have to die with like that regret. And that's very scary to me. But I'd rather not die with as many regrets. I'd rather not die with regrets if I don't have to. Um, but yeah, anyways, those are just my 2 cents. Appreciate you guys for watching. Take care.